Okay, let me walk you through how to complete the MyGrade spreadsheet classwork that you need for this week. So what I'm going to do, here's the final file that you'll end up creating. Okay, it'll have some heading text, it'll have all the grade items for our course. Matter of fact, you can scroll down and see there are 62 total items for our course. These percentages will come out of Blackboard, as will the text here. You will enter your actual grade here, and there'll be some conditional formatting based on the numbers that I'll show you how to do. So this says if items have not been graded, then you have this conditional formatting. If they're below 75%, says these are items I could make up. You'll format them in a particular way. And I'll show you how to format this. You'll have to determine what percentage we are through the course. You'll have the grade, which will equal, and by the way, let me just say this, make sure that after you've entered all the items that are in Blackboard, okay, that this number equals what's in Blackboard. That gives you a check. And then this is the letter grade, and we'll use a lookup table to look up over here the items as a percentage. But where did my little lookup table go? Oh, actually what's cool here too, and you can also, if you've ever done this, let me do it right here, double click here, it'll actually show you, oh that's why I hadn't scrolled all the way up, is that here is a lookup table that you'll need to look up the grade and determine the letter grade. And the other thing you can see here is that this first row has been frozen, so that when you're scrolling through and entering your grades, okay, that this top type will be this same. It'll be fixed, okay? So then as you enter, let's say grades, you see both the percentage change, oh, not 230, how about 10? So I'm just entering something in there to show you. So these update as you enter these grades. So this is the great what if spreadsheet, but start with making sure it equals, and then from there, if you want to ask the what ifs, you can, but turn it in with it equal, that way I'll know it's done. Okay, so let's walk through how to do this. I'm going to do a new file, new spreadsheet file. Okay, here we go. And now how do I get started is I go into Blackboard. And in Blackboard, if you go to MyGrade, you will see that there's a percentage and a letter grade. So either one of them, when you click on it, you get a list of all the items. So put your cursor right before the W on week 1, click, hold, and drag all the way to the end, right click or control keys and hit copy. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of this because I no longer need it. Go to A1 and then paste it. Okay, so there you can either use this paste. Now look what it does, is it actually places all those items into A1. So what we want to do is actually put them in columns first, and then we'll end up putting it in, now it's in one cell. We're going to end up breaking it into columns, and then we'll break it into one row. Okay, so we do this through this wonderful thing under the data called text to columns. So with your A1 selected, go to data, go to text to columns. Under text to columns, it's not fixed, and what that means is the distance, or I'm looking at the data, we're going to say it's delimited by every different grade in this case has got a comma after it. So if I hit next, I say, all right, for every comma, so for the first one you click comma, and you can see what it's going to do. It's going to take each of those items and break it into, and I'm going to hit next, and really I could just hit finish, is it breaks it into a new column. Okay, so now notice that first one has a little formatting difference. You can just go home, go to your format painter tool, and click that. So I took the formatting from there and I replaced it. Okay, so now I want to actually have them listed this way, okay, down the one column instead of across the columns here. So I'm going to click into one, selects the whole thing. I'm going to right click, or I'm just going to hit copy, and notice these little dancing ants. I'm going to go down to A2. I'm going to hit my paste, and I'm going to do a, in this case, if I use a little arrow key, it gives me different options. I'm going to do what's called a transpose. And what that does is it transposes all of them in the way that I wanted them. Cool. So now I'm going to right click on one. I'm going to hit right click, clear contents, because I no longer need them at the top. Awesome. This will be where my headings go, right? And you saw it in my other ones, right? So we'll do those in a second. Let's actually do this. I'm going to double click between A and B. right here, and that makes it as long as the longest one. And now I'm going to use that same data, and I clicked A. I clicked the whole column. I'm going to do text to columns. I'm going to do delimited again, and this time though I want it to break on that first open parenthesis so I can get that percentage in a cell. And when I do that, I'm going to actually do this, get rid of that, open parenthesis, you just type that in, and you can see what it's doing here. I'm going to hit finished, and then it moves all them into the B column, leaving the text of the item in here. So if you've learned this by my IT lab, if you haven't, I want you to know is that when you type alphanumeric or basically text data, Excel aligns that to the left and data should be aligned to the right. So what this tells us is this is not data yet because we haven't done the all-important removing of that last parentheses. So we go to home, we go to the binoculars, we do a replace. So now we're going to say wherever you see an in parentheses, replace it with, in this case, nothing. Don't put anything there. Replace all. Cool. Close. So you can see now that alignment has changed, so that is a number. Cool. So you don't have to enter these numbers. You get to do it by knowing how to massage basically data. Okay, so now this is where you're going to end up entering your grades, right? So this is where they will be. And I'm going to tell you this little trick that I want you to do because it's good to know. So I'm going to be entering percentages, and I'm going to be entering sometimes decimal points. So to save myself some time, I'm going to click C2 all the way down to where the data ends and C62. And I'm going to come up here and say it's going to be a percentage. And I'm going to increase my decimals 1, 2. And now this may look a little weird because you haven't entered anything yet, but now go enter something like 100 and it automatically puts in the decimal, it automatically puts in the percentage for you. So if it's 75, cool, right? And now, okay, so here's what you want to do. At this point, go ahead and enter all of your grades that you have in Blackboard, right? Just to actually, no, you know what, I'm sorry, don't do that yet. Just enter a couple so we can play with them, and then I'll have you do that at the last point because it'll be a little more fun. Okay, so now coming over here, now we actually have to do a calculation, right? So we have to say equals this, which is the percentage that you got, sorry, shift 8 times B2. Now you can just type that in, or you can, what I'm doing is using the arrow keys on my keyboard, and I'm going to hit enter. And what this is this is the percentage that you got. So if you got 100%, if you got 50%, you only got half the percent of that item. If you got 75%, that's how much you got. Okay, so now that's the first one, and we'll end up dragging this down in a second. But again, right, this idea of this formatting now is kind of made easy, and I like to just go over and choose my pointer tool and do that. Okay, again, if it doesn't look right, do 100 to see how it looks, and you're good. So now we're going to need one other thing called a running total. Okay, so these, let's do the running total, then we'll come back and talk about headings. So we'll do equals, and now we're going to say if, because what happens is every time you have a grade that has an item that's been graded, for us to do an actual percentage, we have to have each percentage if there's an item graded. So we actually have to do a little programming. So we say equals if, open the parentheses, and we say if, right, if this number equals, two quotes. Okay, so what's that saying? If there's nothing there, then the value of me, this cell reference, will be 0. Okay, but if there is something, which that's asking the condition, it's a logical test. You'll hear about these as we get more into programming. Okay, if there is, if it's not blank, right, then put that percentage in there in my parentheses. Okay, so you can either type this out like I've shown here, or you can do it like I did, which is kind of fun to do the whole moving of the keyboard. Okay, but again, I'm going to do, actually let me do that one more time. So I'm going to do if, open parentheses, and I can use my arrow here, if this C2 equals quotes comma 0. Okay, if it's equal to, if there's nothing there, then the value of me, which is C2, is equal to 0. and if there is something there, go over and pull that cell, and then I'm going to close my parentheses, and then I have it. So I'm going to do my Format Painter tool. I'm going to paint that as well. Uh-oh, sorry, got to pull what I want to paint it with. I painted itself. Cool. All right, that's awesome. So now that I have these in here, I can do that fun little click, and it has to have the skinny plus, right? And go all the way to the bottom. Excellent. So it fills it with zeros because these items don't have grade in them yet. And so same thing over here. Not the same. Oh, it actually, this happened to me earlier and I couldn't figure out what happened. There's some kind of double click way that it automatically entered it, which is awesome. But I think it's my keyboard weirdness, but anyway. All right, so this is the running total, right? So now to actually calculate your grade, we'd go to the very bottom here and you would sum this up. So you could either hit the summation key, which is awesome, because the summation key automatically figures out based on the number of series of numbers above it, and it says sum, and I'm like, yeah, that's what you want to do. And now you can just copy that, or you can come over here and hit summation here too. So what this is really saying, based on the few numbers that I have, is that you got 4.86 of the 9.24 available for this class, and this number really says this is what percentage were through the class. Okay, and if you wanted your total, you would say this number. Okay, so I'm typing equals, moving over. Okay, so it's 52% as of right now. Okay, so that's that number, right? So let's come up to the top. Let's do a couple of headings, right? So let's call this item, something like that. I can't remember what I called it before. Matter of fact, let's just look. I'm going to look because I actually spent a little more time looking at this before, right? So I did, in this case, I did course item, weight, MyGrade, and weighted. I'm going to do Control C, and I'm going to come back to the other one because I don't want to have to retype them. And I'm going to do Control V. Cool, and I made it a little bigger, so that's cool. I'm going to make double click here. So again, give these labels in here. Okay, now we're going to end up hiding this in a minute, so that's kind of fun. Now let's do some of this conditional formatting that I was talking about. So conditional formatting is on the Home tab. In order to apply it to all the items, we have to select all the items. So go to C2, click, hold, and drag all the way to the end, right here, right? Come up to conditional formatting, and we'll do the first one. And the first one is if a number is less than. So this is the idea. If you have something that's less than 75%, right? And actually we could talk about whether that makes sense, but if it's less than 75%, then we want to highlight, and you think you need a percentage there. We want to highlight this with a particular color, and you can determine and you can play with how you want to do this, right? Fill with a light red, maybe that's what I'll do. Click OK. So now what this did is it looked at the items, and now anything that's less than 75%, right, is those are items that you could make up. It's kind of just a visual to help you. So now we're going to do this again, but now I'm going to do conditional formatting that says anything that's a blank would have a different item, and those would be items not yet graded. Again, click, hold, and drag all the way through. Let's do, in this case, conditional formatting, but I'm going to have you do a new rule. Okay? Okay, so we're actually going to write a rule now. Cell contains blank. So anything that's blank, I want you to format it maybe with a color and a pattern of some type. That's a pretty bright color, but let's do it that way. Cool. So that's awesome. So now what it shows me is I can clearly see the items, right? And when I enter an item, it changes the formatting automatically. I love this. I don't know if you're having a good time, but for me this is really fun. Okay? So if you remember on my other one, I did this thing where I said we are percentage complete. Okay? So this is a concatenate right here. So I'm actually going to walk you through doing this because it's kind of an interesting concept, and it is definitely a concept in programming that we talk about. So I'm going to type, and it's, if you type CON, it actually will find it, these little nice little format, we call them helpers, and if you double click on it, and it's going to actually type it for you. Now what it's going to say is what are you going to concatenate, and concatenate means put together basically. So it opens a parentheses, I'm going to do equals, and we are, I'm going to do equals. Now I'm going to do a comma for my next item. And so now how do I grab that percentage? And if you remember, I said, right, that percentage was this number here. Okay, so notice when I clicked on it up in here, it did that. And I'm going to do comma, again, equal, we are this cell reference complete in this course. In the parentheses, in the quotes, in the parentheses, hit enter and go to the top. And I'm going to go, wow, okay, that doesn't really look like what I want. It does give me the percentage, which is awesome, right? But it doesn't give me in the way I want it, and it doesn't really look great. So let's actually fix it by first putting a space after the R, space before after the C, so at least we can see the words complete. Let's come up to formatting. Actually, I'm going to just do it this way. I'm going to right click. It's off the screen, but I'm going to hit Format Cells. And under Format Cells, let me bring it up so you can see it. I'm going to wrap the text, which is fun, right? So, and then that's cool. We can see it in there. That's awesome. I'm going to align it here. So again, I want you to see this formatting in your spreadsheet, right? And you can make the color a different color. Let's make it like a fun color, like a let's make it blue. That's cool. What? Make it what? So now let's fix this, right? So we want this percent expressed as a percentage, but as I was telling you before, that this number right here, because it is actually, we formatted it as a percentage, but the actual number in Excel is not. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to do equals text. So we're going to open parentheses, this value. Okay, I'm just clicking. You can type comma, open parentheses, 0%. So you're telling it take whatever numeric value is in there and convert it into text. And it rounded it up as well. Awesome, right? So now up here, click up in here. So instead of 63, we could say 64, and then it does that. I think that's so awesome. Okay. All right. So let's do the next one. So now we want to do your letter grade, right? So now we want to do the letter grade. So how do we do that? Let me actually again kind of easily cut and paste some stuff so you can see it. Oh, and I actually need to do that too, but let's do it this way. I'm going to take this. So you're going to have to enter these. I'm going to copy them for purposes of time. You want to go somewhere a little over so that's not necessarily showing, and what you will do is type F is a 0. Now what this is going to look up is all of the percentage. Let's do the percentage in a second. D is starting, the low D 0.60, high D 0.699, C is 0.7, which is really 70%, right? A high D or high C 0.799. Now you might wonder why we're not doing percentage. Again, because Excel is actually storing these numbers in this way. We're formatting them in the way we like to see them. Okay? All right. So enter these numbers. So B, right, is equal to 0.8, high B 0.899, A 0.9, all the way to this. So it's going to look it up. Okay? All right. So now before we do that, we actually need to grab that percentage that was our grade, right? So down here in the bottom, we put it here, but I actually don't want it there, okay? So we're actually going to place this up in the top. So I think I can copy it. Let's see. Can I just take that and place it right here? I can't remember. No, I can't. And the reason I can't is because of what's called that relative cell referencing, because it's changing it. So actually what I need to do is just type equals, scroll to the bottom. Okay, so first I type equals, and then I'm going to, use my arrow keys, go to the bottom, or just type if I remember, right? So the first number, went too far, there we go back, right? So this number divided by, this number divided by, getting kind of crazy on me there. I'm going to have to get rid of that equals too. So I'll tell you in a minute if you just want to grab the, okay. Yeah, I know. Let me just show you here, because that shouldn't have had, but that is actually it. That is actually correct. 59, right? 59? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to actually get rid of it. So you can just type if you want, equals D63 divided by E63. And I'm going to get rid of it here, right? And it was really up here in the top that I wanted it, right up here. And again, I'm going to take that nice little formatter that I like. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put it in the center. I'm going to align it, right? Cool. So now I want the letter grade. Now, by the way, I'm going to make this a little bigger. Awesome. Okay. So now over here, I'm going to do our lookup. So I'm going to tell it to look up. So I'm going to do equals, lookup. I'm going to say open parentheses, comma. Now this is where, as I'm doing this, it starts to get a little hard to see, but I'm going to say, what am I going to look up? I'm going to look up G1, comma. Now where am I going to go? I'm going to go over here. Let me just actually go past it so you can see. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to say, look up that number in here. Okay. And then I'm going to say, comma. And then here, I'm going to say, wherever, look up those values, give me the output of this, okay? Close the parentheses. Let's see. What did I do? Let's see. Look up. Yeah, that's right. That should be right. Oh, hang on. Let me check it. Oh my God, look what I did. I started with the comma. That was the problem. There we go. Okay. So in this case, right, so that's the formula. Look equals lookup G1, which is here. Now yours they should be in the same area, but it may not be. So, but it probably is. Comma K2 through K10, right? These items, comma J. So it's saying take this number, look it up through here, and give me the corresponding item that is equal to. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to format that as well. We only have one more step. This is awesome. So over here, now I'm going to have you actually enter your grades, okay? So I'm going to freeze this row. I'm going to click 1, or row 1. I'm going to go over to date, review, there it is, view. I'm going to hit freeze, I'm going to hit top, freeze top row. Awesome. So now, why I like that, this is why I like it, okay? Oh, by the way, let's do this. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to hide. You can't see it. It's off the screen a little bit, but you can also see it here. I'm going to click E. I'm going to hit hide that. Uh-oh, what happened? Oh, it got rid of it. No, it didn't. What happened? I don't know what it did. I think I just clicked something. That was crazy. Okay, well, whatever. Hold on. Okay, so be careful. What I did here is I was hitting hide and it was in the window area. And so what you want to do is click E, right click, and under here, and you can't see it, it says hide. So as one of the options, when you right click, you say hide, then what that does is it scoots that over because we really don't need that column except that it's used in our total. So now you can scroll through, right? So now you can go down and this is where you start entering your grades, right? There we go. Okay, so then this is where you're going to enter all the grades up until the current item, right? Oh, by the way, enter 1,000 and it won't work, right? All right, it's awesome. And also, I think for some reason when I was backing that up, I also lost that. So I'm going to do that again just to make sure. So this is kind of fun, I think, because it actually tells you a couple of things. It tells you what percentage we are through the course. Right, so I'm going to make that a little smaller so you can see all of it on one screen on mine. And now enter all the grades that you have in Blackboard, and where there's a 0 you have to enter a 0 and enter all until the current item. Okay, so probably by then we'll have one of these. Ooh, again, do not enter 1,000, that will drive it nuts. And then I'll enter like 70 so it can show the conditional formatting. So this shows, in this case, right, where that grade was at, and it shows you we're 55% complete with the course. All these things are updating automatically. And this, my friends, are great skills to have when you're learning about Excel, because knowing how to do the kind of stuff that I just showed you and the stuff you'll learn in the lab test are really helpful skills to have. All right, so last thing I'll tell you is save the file. Make sure you do File, Save As. Give it like, I'm going to put it on my desktop or in my documents. I'm going to call it MyGrade and give it your initials. So your initials, MyGrade spreadsheet. Now, how do you turn it in? So in Blackboard, let me just go back here and show you so we can complete this item, All right, so in Blackboard, I'll get out of here. You'll go down to your classwork, and this will be also a little different because I'm not going to, you could, by the way, I think, I haven't done it, you could upload this into Google Docs and share it. I mean, you might do that for a future classwork, but I'm going to scroll through and find week, I think this is going to be week 10. Where'd all my numbers go? There it is, week 10. So week 10, so in this case what you're going to do, and I did this earlier just so you could see it all started new, so you won't have to do this, but what you will find here is an option we have not used, which is browse my computer. And then what you'll do, I'm going to go to my documents, I'm going to find that file, okay, I'm going to, MyGrade spreadsheet, awesome, right? And then you can just hit submit. All right, again, maybe we'll play with the whole Google Doc upload and see what it looks like from there. I do get a preview of it, which is really cool, and it shows me again that. So make sure that when you submit this, you've made sure, because the check is if it equals what's in Blackboard, you did it correctly. All right, have a great and wonderful day.